Hannah Kessler.
This gal started her own bank at the age of 18, and then you became a self-made millionaire by the age of 24?
I did.
Hannah Kessler is a money mentor.
She's known as the single millionaire chick.
With advice on how to stop living paycheck to paycheck.
Money starts with your mindset.
How you think about your money is going to greatly impact how much money that you have.
I grew up in a town called Olathe, Kansas. I'd be walking out of the door, going to school, and my mama would holler at me, "Hannah, make good choices." And I'd have to holler back, "Because the choices I make today will affect my future."
My parents, they did a very good job about teaching me as a child how to handle my money. We have a lack of understanding when it comes to money.
If you want your kids to have money, you need to start talking to them about it while they're young.
I'm really second generation to this concept that's called the infinite banking concept.
And at 18 years old, my dad gave me the choice to start my own bank that then led me to becoming a millionaire by the time I was 24.
Now you've written a book to help tie it all together.
So the companion is really just teaching kids that, not specifically money, but really important life lessons.
Now being the owner of the Money Multiplier, I help serve over 17,000 clients in every state of the country.
Where can people get the book?
HannahKessler.com. Hannah spelled the same way forwards and backwards, Kessler with one S.
Also, I got my podcast show, the Money Multiplier Podcast.
And make good choices today, because the choices you make today will affect your future. Good morning. Good morning, my friends. First, let me say, Colt 45 and a 2 zigzag. Baby, that's all we need. We can go to the park after dark. Smoke that boop-a-doop. Dude, I saw Afro. My mic was muted. Oh my goodness. Hopefully you guys heard me. I was singing Afro Man, Colt 45. Y'all, I saw Afro Man last night. That was so cool and so fun. Have you been following up with him in the stuff that's been posted on social media and like the lawsuit and like everything going on in his town? He is funny. He puts on a performance, okay? That's what I've been learning a lot with my mentor and speaking and learning the speaking game, having fun on stage, teaching, educating people. I mean, literally, people just want to be entertained, right? Have you ever gone to like conferences and it's like, oh my goodness, this person is so boring. Can I say that? Sorry, it's the truth. And that's what my dad told me very early on in our speaking when I started to work with him. He's like, Hannah, I want you to go and sit in these other people's rooms and I want you to take notes on it. Yes, I want you to get the information, but also I want you to see their speaking style and just take notes. Let's talk about it afterwards. So anyways, good morning, my friends. Let's see who's popping into the comments. Good morning, Devon. Dexter, good to see you. Annette, Alfred, y'all, you guys are my homies. You guys are always here every single morning. So good morning. Good to see you. Oh, good. And Devon said he heard it. Okay, I am excited about today's episode. Hey, before we get started, just a big PSA. I am not going to be able to come live next Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Okay, so we are headed out to Arizona. Mom, Dad, and I, we're going on a little tour. We got some speaking events. So Arizona, Austin, Texas, then Boulder, Colorado. The other two events are kind of private, but if you guys want to come out and connect in person, I'm going to be in Boulder, Colorado on the 22nd of April, or it's the 23rd, 22nd, 23rd, and then 24th. And then 24th, I'm going to go down to Cape Coral, go see my niece. It's her birthday. She's going to turn 17. I need to go see her. So if you want to holler at me and come out to those events, send me an email, hannah@themoneymultiplier.com. And I can share with you how to attend. So I won't be here, but Rachel Katz, okay, if y'all remember Rachel from last week, she will come on, and I don't have my notebook. I wrote it in my notebook it's in my desk in the other room, but she's going to answer questions live. Come prepared with credit repair questions, debt questions. Okay, she is your girl. And then student loans. Okay, so come prepared with questions. She'll have a set of questions too if y'all don't have any, that y'all can kind of get deeper into that conversation. But this kind of is a perfect segue into the conversation that people have been asking me, because I have been very vocal about my opinions on 401ks, Roths, qualified accounts, and why people have them and why I personally just don't have them. And I'm going to address some comments that have been being left on the YouTube channel, on the podcast show, and let's get into it. Let's talk about Roths, let's talk about 401ks. Okay, and to kick off this conversation, my brother, I don't use TikTok, honestly, but sometimes I'll pop in there to see kind of like what my team has been posting, and like honestly, like what Chris Naugle's been posting on TikTok. Shout out Chris Naugle, go follow him, Naugle. But my brother apparently has been sending me reels over there. And he sent me this one reel. I'm not going to show it on screen because we learned last time very early on in StreamYard that they don't like that because of copyright reasons. So I don't want to get shut off. But I'm going to read it to you and I'm going to show you my phone, okay? It says, maxing out your 401k and IRA is the dumbest thing I've heard. Like, congrats, bro. You're going to be the richest man in the retirement home. Okay, and it looks like it's like a millennial. It's like a young kid millennial. Do you see that? So basically, maxing out your 401k and your IRA is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, congrats, bro. You're going to be the richest man in the retirement home. Okay, so let me set this intention. I am never here to bash products, bash what your money philosophy is. I am just really here to share what I'm doing in my own life and what's been working out for my family in our years of learning money. Okay, because quick background story, right? What makes my situation a little unique is that mama, you can classify her as old money, or like my father, he's new money. Okay, and dad talks about a story actually in his book, Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery. If you guys do send me an email, I'll send you a copy of the ebook. Or if you want the hard copy version, just pay for the shipping cost. I think it's like $3, and I'll send you a hard copy of it. But long story short, mama came from farmers, right? She grew up in Illinois. They had farms and that was their business. And then papa, my grandpa, her mom, was in the printing business, okay? Actually, I did a podcast episode with my grandfather, papa. It's that podcast episode called Cash Flow versus Cash Accumulation. We're going to talk about that today. But so mama really came from the old money, if you will, where dad has come from new money, if you will, where he didn't grow up with much, right? I mean, literally, he's got some deep rooted stories there where money had to dictate what they ate, where they lived, if they could even feed themselves that night, where they had to shower type of situation. You know what I mean? So it's very interesting coming from those two different backgrounds and now forming my own opinions, because I'm an adult. I can form my own opinions. Okay. I'm growing up. I know I'm a young girl over here, but I'm still an adult. I can form my own opinions. But, so I'm just sharing my experiences of what has gotten us here and how we continue to create wealth in the family and keep the wealth in the family. Okay. So one of the YouTube, comments that was left. Okay. So we were talking about this, and Jake, that this episode is really specifically for you. He goes on to say, when he hears my presentation on the infinite banking concept, that there was one truly absurd comment here. If your brother if your brother's airline, Zach's employer, matches 60%, it is absolutely bonkers not to take the match. That is 100% guaranteed returns instantly. Even if that is just a cash equivalent fund within a 401k, he will never see a return like that. Ever, not in an IBC account and not in the market. He should take the match and run and then do IBC with whatever is left. You also conveniently never address Roth IRAs and 401ks in comparing IBC to retirement accounts. I see the value in IBC, but anyone not taking advantage of employer match and Roth options is wasting money, plain and simple. Okay, so I understand the comments, and I love comments like this because here's literally a quote. I'm a big advocate of journaling and writing down my thoughts because that's how I organize my ADD brain over here. But literally, I have in this first page of this notebook that my mama got me for Christmas. Okay, Consuela, shout out. I love this brand, Consuela. I found them in McKinney, Texas. Okay, shameless plug, really cute. I also have luggage from them. Anyways, this is my now journal from them. But I wrote down in 2025, I dated it. I'm in the process of shaping my own worldview, and every conversation, book, and experience adds another piece to it. So that's why I love these comments, especially you, Jake, because you really go in depth with your thoughts. Because I'm going to read another comment where I got some beef with this little internet troll that's on here. But I love this conversation because I just want to share my thoughts on it, and I totally respect your thoughts. Now, because remember, I came from a world where my first job was one of Dad's chiropractic offices. I was the CA, the front desk person, hooking patients up to their therapies, making the notes in Silk One, our system, like our CRM system, if you will, for the billing department, because we were still taking insurance back then at that time. I would do the filing for mom and dad in the chiropractic office. And then, I fell into the wrong crowd. Then I kind of started to party too much. And then, it made it to work on time, but we were still a little, not in the right headspace, got fired from that job, sobbing my eyes out, then went home and started to apply to all of these different applications online that I could find. And Cracker Barrel popped up. They need more waitresses. So I put in my application. That next Wednesday, went in, did an interview with, oh my gosh, Charlie. It was Charlie, my manager. And Charlie says, yep, you're hired. Can you start on Wednesday? I said, yes, sir, I will be here. Then did Cracker Barrel for what? Maybe 2.5, 3 years. It was fun. I liked Cracker Barrel. And that's where I found my entrepreneurial spirit at, because, hey, no tip sharing. I could flip my tables. I was in control with how much money I could make every night based on how well I took care of the guests and how quickly I flipped the tables. And then doing a little bit of college, trying to figure it out. And I was like, college ain't for me. 529 plan wouldn't pay for the college. Have to go get all the student loan debt. Want to be a fashion designer. Get $200,000 of student loan debt to go find myself a $50,000 a year job. That ain't going to make sense to me. Dad, help me. I need help. I don't know what direction I want to go in life. And then that's when I started on the application team. So I'm coming from a background where I have never had the opportunity to put money into qualified accounts. You see what I'm saying? Whereas my younger brother, not my older brother is kind of, well, Allie did work at Lowe's for a long time. I've never asked her questions about that. But my younger brother, now being a pilot for a company, they have these employer matches. And I've been saying some comments about, hey, Zach at 24 years old, he has 3 of his own whole life policies. He's investing. I got him in a little lending deal that I'm doing with him. He's creating some cash flow for himself. And when he's sitting up there in the cockpit with these pilots who are twice, sometimes 3 times his age, and talking about monies, and Zach is saying, hey, well, I put my money in these whole life policies. I don't totally max it up to the rim of these 401ks that my company offers. And people are like, Zach, that is so stupid. That's crazy. That's ridiculous. Why don't you do that? So here, before we get into that conversation, let's really break down the difference between traditional versus Roth accounts. Okay. So like traditional 401ks, traditional IRAs versus Roth. And it really comes down to the taxes. Okay. Whether you get a tax break now or if you get the tax break later. So contributions into like traditional accounts, they're pre-tax. So it lowers your taxable income today because most financial advisors, financial planners, honestly, people who are in the baby boomer, Gen X generation, they're like, hey, because this was just their society back in the day. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Okay. So ADD brains, let's stay on track. But with their traditional advice, it was because back then people were working at corporations, climbing the corporate ladder, maxing out these qualified accounts so that later on in life they can use this money and go and retire off of this money, right? They were accumulating that cash so that when ready, they'll just pull from this cash accumulation bucket to go then fund their expenses, fund their lifestyle. That's what my papa did, okay? And what your financial advisor, the custodian of where that traditional account is held, they're going to tell you, hey, take the tax break now because later on in the future, you won't be making as much money. So it's okay to take out those distributions later, pay the taxes on it later, because then you won't be bumping up into other tax brackets. And you can understand the mindset there, right? But if you go deeper and you truly start to think for yourself, then the question starts to become, well, hey, what do you mean? Why are we not taking into consideration inflation, the rising cost of living? Taxes are going to continue to go up. What's the history of taxes? Have we looked into that? Have you looked into that? Because it's your financial life. I don't care what you guys do, but it's your financial life. So later on, are taxes going to go up? As history has it, has taxes gone up or have they gone down? They've gone up. And if they don't go up, aren't we taxed on more crap all the time? And who controls those accounts? It's somebody else who controls the account and not you, right? So those are with the traditional taxes. Now with those Roth accounts, you pay the tax now, and the contributions to those accounts are after tax money. So just like inside of a whole life contract, all of that is after tax money. And the withdrawals from that account are tax-free later. So there's no taxes on the growth or the withdrawals, but there's still rules that you do have to follow. So I agree, if I'm comparing like traditional versus Roth, I would prefer the Roth because I do have more control, more freedom over those types of accounts. But let's talk about Roth for a second. And because I keep asking this question, even like with, we'll get into self-directed accounts here in a second, okay? We'll go deeper in there. But with these Roth accounts or even self-directed accounts, people have never shown me, hey, Hannah, why in my life would this make more sense for me and what I'm doing compared to what I'm doing over here in the policies and my investments with the real estate investments that I'm making? You see, and hey, I would love to sit down. If you want to sit down and have a conversation with me and let's go through my personal situation, I would love to, right? But no one has ever just shown me that way. Okay. And I'm going to come full circle. I'm going to go back to Zach's 401k. But let's talk about these Roths for a second. There is an income phase out. And the last time I looked, if you're making $260,000 to $270,000 a year, you range out to even qualify for a Roth. Okay. Now, in those Roth accounts, you can always access the principal, okay, after 5 years. After 5 years, you can access the principal without penalties. So there is a 5-year waiting period to access the principal in that Roth account without penalties. But with the gains in that Roth account, the same rules still apply that you got to wait till age 59 and a half. And okay, it could make sense if I'm trying to access those gains and use it as a income stream for retirement from a cash accumulation standpoint. And it can be great in conjunction with infinite banking, right? If you have qualified money, like on the traditional side, because you started a traditional 401k when you were 27 years old at a company, right? And you still have it, people will convert their traditional into the Roth, right? And so it's kind of like keep the qualified money on the qualified side, and infinite banking or the whole life policies is non-qualified, meaning that it's after-tax money. I can access the principal and the gains at any time, whenever I want. And the only tax implication that could ever happen is if I withdraw over my cost basis from the whole life contract. So now I'm getting too deep into the weeds. We can go there if you guys want, but let's kind of like back it up. Now, the difference too with Roths that are kind of cool is that they are protected against liens and judgments. Now, they're protected in most states. Okay, I got to fact check myself on this. And again, I'm not a financial advisor, okay? I'm a life insurance agent. I teach the infinite banking concept. You got to go do your own due diligence. Go talk to those licensed advisors, okay? Don't come after me. Compliance, check mark there. Zach Soto, you would be happy with me. Okay, so they are protected against liens and judgments. Roths are. But they're not private contracts like a whole life policy is. Okay, so that's why you've ever heard the saying, own nothing but control everything, like what the elite and the wealthy do. Well, the elite and wealthy own nothing and control everything through trust and whole life contracts because they're privately owned. You see what I'm saying? Is this a good comparison? Chime in for me. It's almost like I'm about to close. I think I said this last week on the live stream Monday mornings. I'm about to close on these two properties over there in Atlantic City, New Jersey. It's a block away from the beach, right on the canal. Just FYI, if you guys want a long-term rental, I think I'm going to do a long-term rental with them. Holler at me. But it's almost like, hey, I hold these properties within the LLC. So then it's kind of private. They can't come after the personal. Anyways, those are more conversations I got to have with myself. But anyways, right, I'm buying them within LLCs. So back to Roths, though. There is a limit to how much you can contribute to those accounts, right? And that's kind of the difference, like with my policies. Well, I really don't have a limit. It's really just the amount of the death benefits on that policy is what limits me to how much premium I can put inside of these contracts. And that's why I'm a big fan of base premium, because that's what allows me to continue to make premium deposits more and more and more after I'm forced to drop off the paid up edition rider. But I'm not limited, right? I'm not limited because hopefully the mindset that I'm creating for y'all and trying to share with you in my brain and how I think is that when I'm putting money inside of my whole life contracts, my objective is to, yes, pay my expenses, like the tax bill, the vacations I want to take, the insurance that I have, right? Pay those expenses using my policy, being an honest banker. But hopefully too, I'm using that money, and I am, to go put my little green men to work. And I'm placing those investments, and now I'm double dipping on my money. I make an interest in my policy because I took out a policy loan, and I'm also out here in the investment world making money with it, thus increasing my wealth, thus increasing my net worth, thus allowing the insurance company to continue to allow me to have more and more policies on my body as I age. You see what I'm saying? And hey, I can also own policies on other people. I can put a policy on my business partners. I could, I'm not going to say that because this is recorded. Insurance company, compliance will come after me. but I could always own policies on other people that I have an invested interest in. And that's ways that I can grow this policy portfolio too. So just to continue on, okay? Now, it depends on the custodian of where you get the Roth, and they will have limits to what you can invest in. And the custodians are different, right? Like, like there's the Schwab or the Fidelity. Okay. So those are like kind of like the traditional custodians. They're like the big boys out there, like in the insurance world. They're like the mass mutuals of the life insurance industry. You see what I'm saying? But when you start to pivot to this self-directed route, okay, self-directed, then you're able to self-direct where you want that money to be invested in. So depending on the custodian, okay, it could be real estate, it could be stocks, it could be bonds, it could be mutual funds, okay? And again, it just goes back to invest in the things that you like, know, and understand. I spoke with a guy just this week. He loves the market. He's really great at it. And I said, dude, I'd be open to learning what you know. Like, let's sit down and have a conversation, right? That's all I want out of this community. I just want us to keep evolving and thriving together. And I just want us to continue to learn from one another. That's why even like my dad, do you guys remember? So my people who came out to Denver, Colorado for the Money Multiplier Mastermind event, Dad did his whole portfolio, right? And he was showing how he was using his policies to create cash flow and how he was making his investments. And then I remember, because I just reviewed it, we're about to do something like this similar in Arizona. And he made me put a slide in there where it says Tesla stock with like a really sad emoji face, like a because Dad kind of missed the boat. He's like, damn it, people have been telling me to put my money in that Tesla stock. It was back in like, I don't know when it was. I'd make just a random guess, but it was a few years ago. And he's like, I damn it, I should have done that. I should have done that, Hannah, but I just don't understand the stock market. So I only invest in the things that I like, know, and understand, right? And that's with everything. I've had to go through that phase, even just with taxes. That's why I haven't taken that deep dive into like the stock markets and the crypto world of it all. I've played around with a little bit of crypto, right? I own a little bit of crypto, but do I fully understand it? No. As I talk to my clients, y'all really educate me and give me great resources on YouTube and different places, right? I mean, my niche is infinite banking. That's what I do in real estate. So as I expand, as we said, not last week, the week before, master of all traits. What is that saying again? Guys, chime in. You know it. It's if you try to master all traits, you're really a master of none, something like that. I just want to be a master in infinite banking. And I can turn you on to these other people. Like if you have or you've been researching or interested in self-directed accounts, Carson Hurling on my team, his dad, Greg Hurling, owns that company, Horizon Trust, and that's all that they do because they do real estate investments. Carson uses his self-directed account. He puts in, I think, like $7,500. Sorry, Carson, I'm putting you on blast. He puts in, I think, like $7,500, $7,500 or $13,000. Anyways, he's putting into the most that he can do inside of that account, and he'll use some of those dollars and go do his fixes, and then he'll keep it for like long-term or short-term rentals. But even Carson, I sat down with him and anyways, we don't have to go down that whole thing. But I even talked to him about my situation. I'm like, how and why would it make sense for me, Carson? I need help here. I think I'm going to go see Carson in Puerto Rico. Carson, if you're chiming in, I know it's early over there in California time. I'm going to text you. Let's see if I'm going to see you in Puerto Rico here, like in May. Anyways, back on track, Hannah. So there are resources out there. I would just take a look at your accounts. Shout out Chris McCloy. Okay, McCloy on YouTube. That's not his last name. Okay, don't be looking people up. I try to protect people's identities. but McCloy on YouTube. You were the one where we kind of even gotten into this conversation. So here's the thing with Zach, right? Here's the thing with his employer match. The biggest misunderstanding is that I would walk in there and say, hey, what percentage? Now, most of the time it's like 4 to 6%, right? That's kind of like the averages when I talk to people of what they're getting in their employer match at their job, right? So this one's kind of crazy, right? Where Zach's scenario is at. And so what Zach does is he goes down to the custodian and he says, hey, what percentage do I need to put in to get the maximum match? It doesn't mean he has to put in 60%. It just means what is the maximum that I need to put in to get the maximum match? I would also even ask the question, am I required to do this, right? You see what your options are. I always put it this way. I want to see the full menu. I'm a little annoying when we go out to dinner sometimes because I'm reading the whole menu. I want to know what's on the menu and I'm going to pick out the best thing that I want at that point in time. So I would encourage you to do the same thing when it comes to your money and your financial life. Get the full menu, write out the pros and cons list. That's what Mama TK taught me. Write out the pros and cons list and see which one resonates with you the most. But here's the thing, like I get it from an employer side because, hey, they're from an employer side, they get a reduction of admin fees the employer is paying. So when they match you into those accounts, there's deductions for your employer on the taxes. You see kind of why maybe they encourage you to put money away. Now, I'm not saying that everybody's evil, okay? It is a good mindset because really, if we didn't have this mindset, because they don't teach this in school. I went to high school, graduated in 2017, 9 years ago, and I did a little bit of college, gonna pursue being a CPA. And I said, ain't for me. We never talked about retirement. We never talked about retirement accounts, right? So I think we do have a good starting point, and I do applaud our government for teaching people the importance to save for retirement so people aren't working until they're 80 years old and can't drive for themselves now because they have eye issues, okay? So I do like the mindset there. But what I'm saying in my mindset of where I come from is yes, cash accumulation is important, to have a reserve, to have a vault that you have, but it's more about the cash flow. In my retirement years, I want the flow of money to continue to come in instead of just withdrawing from this cash bucket to fund my lifestyle. Because my hope is that if I do care about my children, I'm not single. I'm not married, no children. Okay. So it's also coming from this perspective. But when I do have children, notice how I said when. I think I'm on board now. I think I might want to have kids in my lifetime. Oops, that's a secret. Sorry, mom and dad. I've said it for the longest time. I'm like, Mom, Dad, if you want children, you're gonna have to talk to your other sibling or your other child over there. He's very white picket fence, like golden retriever in the front yard, mowing his lawn every Sunday type of guy. Sorry, Zach. But when I do have children, what I hope to pass on to them is the cash flow coming from the cash flowing assets that I've bought for myself up to this point in time, plus the big pile of cash money there. And in my opinion, what the big pile of cash money should be and is, because you work hard, you have this one life to live on this planet, and we go somewhere after this, right? Whatever you believe in, we go somewhere. You can't die with your money. Use your money. Sometimes I have to remind myself of that. Hannah, it's okay to spend money, because sometimes I'll get into that scarcity mindset of, I got to save it. We don't know what's going to come up next. Maybe there's this next opportunity. Hannah, you are okay to go take yourself out for tacos and spend $40 at your favorite taco joint for the night. Okay. So like, as long as it's like within the means, and this is where I love like the Dave Ramseys of the world. Yes, live within your means, don't be overspending. Don't get Parkinson's law. Once was a luxury is now a necessity, right? I mean, I still cook for myself every single night. I make my own coffee every single morning, spending what, 20 cents a glass versus $5 for every coffee. You know what I mean? Now I'm just going off on a tangent. Hold on, there's some comments coming in. Margaret is on. Good morning. Jet, good morning. Misty, I'm glad that you're here these mornings. Annette says the account limits more or less are capped at 5.4 million. Then it will be capital gains. It's found on the terms and the conditions. That is the facts, not a mindset. Tax incentives. Yep. I think what Annette, you're referring to the employer. Hey, I haven't fixed it yet on my Facebook page. So here, let me just real quick, let me go to my Facebook page. Let me refresh this and let me just see if there's any comments coming in over here because I can't see them on my side. Thank you, Tori. Good morning, Tori. Jack of all trades and master of none. I need to get that in my brain. Will Meadows, good morning to you. Carrie, morning. Mr. Larry Steinhaus. Hi, my friend. Okay, so anyways, Zach is forced to put money into that 401k. So he does. He puts what he's required to do. And then the rest of the money he puts into his IBC policies. And then what he's doing right now is he's lending his money. And that's really all he's doing. Oh my goodness. Can I shout out real quick? My cute family of entrepreneurs. They are so freaking cute. So Zach started this little business. I didn't get his permission to share this, so hopefully it's not too much. Sorry, bub. Love ya. But I'm just so proud of you. I really am. He started this little business. He's got this dually truck, and he has, I think it's 100 gallons on the back of his truck. And he had to do all this research, like get the licensing, do you have to get permits? I don't know. But literally, he fills up 100 gallons in the back of his truck in this little box made out of whatever. I haven't seen it in person yet. And he will go and deliver gas to boats. So instead of the boats, because, he lives down there in the Fort Myers area. So instead of the boats having to go and to the gas docks when they're on the water, he will literally come to the house, fill it up, and then you're all ready to go as you take your family out or you go fishing, or maybe you have a charter business, you take other people fishing. So he's been doing good with it, and he's been doing that on the side when he's not flying. And then Sean, that they're doing very well in their property management business down there. Please look up here. I think I have a banner. CaptivaBeachSunset.com. You guys should look into that. It's a really cool rental. Sean and Allie manage it. It's one of Dad's properties and family vacations, y'all. Hey, here's a little secret. You ready? Annual family banking meetings. Okay, we do ours in February in Idaho, but y'all, what kind of sucks? Okay, and I don't want to go down this whole rabbit hole, but just to be real, global warming. Okay, that's all I'll say. But there was not enough snow. There was not enough snow this year to go and do the snowmobiles, in Idaho. And so it just wasn't a good time of the year to go out there, and people were busy. There's stuff going on. I've shared a little bit, but we haven't done our annual family banking meeting yet. But hey, if you get your family together, because that's my big PSA, is please get on the same page with your family, at least at minimum with your spouse, about money, and having both of y'all to understand what's going on with money in your guys's financial picture. Because I can't tell you how many times people have called me up and said, Hannah, my husband passed away. I've been self-taught now. That's how I found you, was on YouTube. And I just don't know what to do. Here's my situation. This is where all the pots of money are at. This is what I'm bringing in right now. And I just need help. And I get it. Like, I have a friend where he literally said, in quotes, that part of my brain just doesn't work. And I'm like, okay, I get it. It's like me with like mechanical crap. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I've been trying to learn, especially having a new van now, like, learning the whole new vehicle again, right? at some point you got to take the ownership. You got to start learning. You just got to take the time. So anyways, my big PSA was just get on the same page with your spouse at minimum. And then for my parents, talk to the kids about money. Okay. How are you making your money? Why do you decide to spend it on X over Y? Mom would take me to the grocery store with her. In Kansas City, we had Price Shoppers, right? And to convince me to go to the grocery store, she let me pick out a toy or the J14 magazine. And then I get all the posters out and I put all the posters, all the Justin Bieber posters all around my room. It wasn't all Justin Bieber. I really wasn't a big believer. It was more, no, there was some. I mean, like back in it was the Taylor Lautner and the Zac Efron and the Selena Gomez, Taylor Swift, Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana, which, by the way, my Gen Z and my millennials, the Hannah Montana 20th anniversary on Hulu, did anybody watch it? I don't know if my crowd is listening to me right now, but nostalgic. But anyway, she would convince me to go with her, and that's how she would convince me. And she would show me, and she would show like price comparisons. Why do we buy this chicken over this chicken? Now it's to the point where mom's a big health nut, free range and all that stuff, which I totally agree, right? What fuels your body is super important. Whole other rabbit hole we could go down. But she would price compare. Why this cereal over this cereal? Hey, even though this is the name brand, like the Kellogg, whatever. What about this one, the store brand one? You see what I'm saying? And yeah, are they the same? Are they different? And yada yada yada, right? But that's how she taught me about. Well, what's the right words? Like price viewing different things and understanding why I would buy one thing over the other. And so just ingraining those habits at a young age will carry your kids into their lifetime. I will tell you this though, there's two things I don't go cheap on: cheese and eggs and my meats. Yeah, I don't go cheap on those though. One of these days, I would love to buy a cow. We've been talking about that in the family. There's a farm right up the road from mom and dad. I'm like, we should buy a cow maybe, I really want to get those. Is it called We Grow? You guys know what I'm talking about. The grow plants in your house. I want one of those. I really do. But I've been traveling too much right now. I can't, unless I can find a small one to fit in the van. I grow my own fruits and vegetables. One of these days, that's the next agenda. So we're here now in 2026. We've accomplished one of our goals on my bucket list in my life. Next one is I want a plot of land. I want a plot of land. I would love to have a little campground on it. I want to have a homestead. This is a 20-year vision right now. But I want that. So, and get clear on your goals. What inspires you? What really fuels your soul, because what I like may not be what you like, right? So, really get to know who you are, and then you kind of work it backwards. Now, how do I get here to this goal? Or sometimes what people call planning the perfect day. Have you heard that before? Hey, what does your perfect day look like? You can even start there and start asking yourself that question. But it's important, okay, because we will get caught up in the hustle and bustle of life, that you don't just stop to think and sit for a second. I can't tell you how important it is just to let yourself breathe and just sit and let your mind calm. And again, that's why I'm a big advocate of journaling and yoga and all that stuff. Anywho's, so that was one of our comments. So Jake, hopefully I helped there. I will put a little link here saying that we chatted. Okay, now here's the next ones. Okay, and I know we're here at the 45-minute mark. I have to dip out in 10 at minimum or at maximum, but here's some few other comments that came in. And this was just on the most recent podcast episode that was launched a day ago, okay, on the Money Multiplier channel. Because reminder, Money Multiplier podcast goes out every Tuesday, okay? Let's start here. Roth IRA is just another avenue for tax-free income later in life. You have to wait to 59 and a half to reap the benefits, but it is part of the long game. buy an ETF or ETFs that pay dividends. So when you withdraw at age 59 and a half and on from there, no taxes on the dividend income. It is a wealth building tool. This is Mr. McCloy. Hey, so McCloy, that this is what I was talking about and referring to you earlier. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I will talk about that one later. Don't stay silent. I'm going to reply to you. He says vitamin D comes from the sun. Here, quick little story. I'm an idiot sometimes. Okay. I'm like, I should have paid more attention in school. I was like, because I did the last podcast episode on the beach because they're still doing the roof work on the condo here. And it was loud. I couldn't record. It was just, it wasn't going to work. So then I went outside. I was grumpy. And then I went outside. The sun was shining. I put on my swimsuit and I was like, honestly, God wanted me to come to the beach today. I needed to get my butt outside. I feel a lot better. And I was like, I couldn't remember what vitamin do you get? Is it vitamin D or vitamin C from the sun? And I was like, why are you an idiot, Hannah? You know this. It's vitamin D. Vitamin C comes from oranges. Vitamin D comes from the sun. And so I stopped a neighbor when he was walking into the elevator with me. I said, hey, can I ask you a really stupid question? I'm just a girl, okay? We're all just learning. We're all just learning and evolving. All right. Somebody says, now here's where we kind of get into the naysayers and the negative comments. They go, there's no real scenario where infinite banking makes you more money than just getting a term life insurance policy and investing the difference in the stock market. And if you really need loans, you can borrow against stocks too. We don't have time to get into it. So Mr. Animated Money, you are obviously new here to the channel. So hello, my name's Hannah Kessler. It is a pleasure to meet you, my friend. I hope you stay around the campfire. Here's my quick, just two-second thing. Number one, if you are a numbers nerd and you really want to see the numbers, we have mathematically proven why whole life will always outweigh from a cost perspective and the infinite banking concept compared to buy term and invest the difference. Math don't lie, right? Math has got to be math, and as us Gen Zers say. And if you want those white pages, I got you. I'll send them to you because you know who made them to my money multiplier community? Craig Yenny and Chris Noggle, Mr. Spreadsheets over there. So, I mean, hey, if that is a resource that y'all really want and you guys really want to nerd out on this stuff, which I encourage you to do, come be nerds with me on this stuff. I love this. I'm a freaking nerd around money and infinite banking. But if you want those white pages, reach out to me and I'll get it to you. But again, one liner, just sum it up. The infinite banking concept is not about rates of return. This is the thing that makes me so freaking sick. I'm about to start making t-shirts. I'm going to tattoo it on my forehead. I'm kidding. I'm being dramatic now. But it is not about the rates of return, my friends. Infinite banking is not about rates of return. It is about recapturing the money that you're already spending. How can I recapture the interest I would have lost if I paid cash or a bank financed my transaction through somebody else? I'm not talking to you about investments. You're going to go invest in the things that you like, know, and understand. And if you want to have those buddy conversations, I'm here. We can have these conversations. Do what works for you. I'm just sharing what's working out for me over here. But that's where people, and you guys are going to love the 417 podcast episode coming out, not next week, the following week, because I go on Reddit. And I read Reddit stories about infinite banking and I share my thoughts. Okay. But I'm just going to leave it there for Mr. Animated Money. I'll put a link to you as well, my friend. And last comment I want to talk about, but I have one more maybe. He goes, I'm just suggesting it's a he, sorry. He's just whatever vibe I get. CJax3187 says, I'm a millionaire. Whole life is a scam. Always go term. Here's my biggest beef, okay? And this is where I kind of want to call you like an internet troll, but that's kind of rude. And I don't want to be rude to you. I don't know you. You don't know me. But like, back it up. If you're going to make a claim like that, back it up. Why do you think whole life is a scam? Why? Why do you think term is better? Show me the numbers. Show me the facts. Show me the proof that you have. It's almost like the People's Court, Judge Marilyn, the plaintiff, you, my friend, you're coming with a claim saying, hey, whole life is a scam. Let's read again. I'm a millionaire, whole life is a scam, always go term. So my friend, back it up. What have you done to get yourself there? I would love to learn from you. I am coachable. I'm never going to hit the arrival syndrome. So what have you done to get yourself there instead of just leaving a comment that whole life is a scam? That's all that I asked for. All right, I'm going to close it out here. There was my Aunt Sandy actually sent me a text. Have you folks been watching Landman? I learned about Landman like a few weeks ago. Hold on, let me sip my water. I learned about Landman like a few weeks ago. Wait, before we get into Landman, I'm looking at my sticky notes. I'm a sticky note queen. We talked about the difference between cash flow and cash accumulation, right? Okay, hopefully I shared my thoughts. What to know before you choose. If it's required, okay, go back, replay the episode and the questions that you should be asking your custodians there. I do agree. If you want to, I don't know, contribute what you need to up to the match, and then anything over the match, infinite banking, in my opinion, whole life policy premiums. Also look at the taxes, okay? Taxes, I'm still a student of taxes. We're still learning it as I continue to absorb more and learn more. This is the whole reason I'm doing the whole condo situation. Investments after, what is your return on those investments after the taxes? Don't just look at the pre-taxes on those investments that you're making, especially with my lenders out there. You know, what am I really making on this investment if I take the money and go place that investment? Again, it's outside of 401ks, Roths, and well, not really, but policies, yeah. It's more so policies. I would say the policy loan interest, right? If you're taking policy loan interest, 401ks and Roths, you know, look at it from the tax perspective as well. Yeah, we can continue. I can beat the dead horse all day long, but okay, Landman. My Aunt Sandy reached out to me. She says Landman season 2. I've only caught the first or second episode because I think it streams on Paramount Plus. I don't have Paramount Plus. I'm probably going to bum it off of mom and dad, but I do pay for my own Netflix and my own Hulu. Okay. But I've only seen the first and second episode, so I don't know too much about Landman. But she says Landman season 2, I think it is around episode 6. They talk about life insurance. Demi Moore's husband has passed. Okay, let's restart this, Hannah. One more time. Landman season 2. I think it is around episode 6. They talk about life insurance. Demi Moore's husband has passed and she inherits his company. They find out she owes $440 million, that she is broke and other people are suing her. Husband passed. Now Debbie, owes $440 million to other people and she's broke. They find out that the money is in a life insurance policy. It is still there and now worth $880 million. Aunt Sandy just said, I would not have noticed it, but since I have learned, excuse me, she says, I would have not have noticed it, but since I have learned, it is something to point out to those that may have brushed over it. So it's kind of fun. Like once you like figure out something, it's almost like, what's that syndrome? Chime in, y'all. I'll look at the Facebook too over here. But like when you're really fixated on something and then you see it all the time, like every time I drive, I see vans. I see those Ram Pro Masters, those Mercedes. Like I see the vans all the time because I'm so fixated on it. So it's almost like that. Like you get fixated on money, on life insurance. You're like, oh, that death benefit when it comes up in a movie or something like that. It's good. Can't go cheap on cereal, Tori says. All right, good, my friends. Hey, I'm going to leave you guys with this quote, okay? It says, I'm increasingly convinced that the willingness to change your mind is the ultimate sign of intelligence. The most impressive people I know change their minds often in response to new information. It's like a software update. The goal isn't to be right, it's to find the truth. So for my friends, I ask you just continue to go do your own due diligence, think for yourself and question. And I'm here. I'm always here. If you want to reach out, ask me questions. We can have one-on-one conversations. There's my email, hannah@themoneymultiplier.com. And last reminder, remember, next week, Rachel Katz is going to be coming on. However, because she's out in California, we're giving her some grace, okay? So she's going to be running the show next week. It will be going live 12 p.m. Eastern time. 12 o'clock Eastern time next Thursday, 9 o'clock Pacific time, okay? And I think that's all my notes for right now. So hopefully that was helpful. Let me know. I'm here to always talk. Until next time, do well, be good, and I'll catch all you money multipliers very soon. Bye, y'all.